Hello friends. Welcome to Enjoy English Through Stories. In this video, we'll explore the life and legacy of Nelson Mandela, freedom fighter, political prisoner, and the first black president of South Africa. You can read and listen to the story at the same time to help you improve your English. Ready to take your English to the next level? Just relax and enjoy the story at your own pace. Okay. Without further delay, let's get into the story. Nelson Mandela, from prisoner to president. Early life and education. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the small village of Mvizo, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. He belonged to the Thembu royal family and was given the name Ralilala, which means troublemaker in the Xhosa language. Mandela's father was a local chief and counselor to the king, but he died when Nelson was just 9 years old. After his father's death, Mandela was taken in by the regent of the Thembu people, who ensured he received a good education. Mandela attended missionary schools and later studied at the University of Fort Hare, a prestigious institution for black Africans. However, he was expelled for participating in a student protest. He later completed his degree through correspondence and went on to study law at the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. Political awakening and the ANC. In the 1940s, South Africa was under a system of racial segregation known as apartheid, introduced by the white minority government. Black South Africans had no political rights, and they were forced to live in poor areas, denied quality education, and often treated as second-class citizens. Mandela joined the African National Congress, ANC, in 1944. Together with Walter Sisulu and Oliver Tambo, he formed the ANC Youth League, which promoted a more active and militant approach to fighting apartheid. They organized protests, boycotts, and strikes to challenge the racist system. Mandela quickly became a rising leader within the ANC. He believed in peaceful resistance and civil disobedience, inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's methods. However, as the government responded with violence, Mandela and others began to consider more radical strategies. The turn to armed struggle. In 1960, after the Sharpeville massacre, where police killed 69 unarmed black protesters, the ANC was banned. Mandela and other leaders decided that peaceful protest was no longer enough. In 1961, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear of the Nation, the armed wing of the ANC. He believed that violence was the only way to overthrow apartheid. Mandela went underground and became known as the Black Pimpernel for his ability to evade capture. However, in 1962, he was arrested and charged with leaving the country illegally and inciting strikes. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. While serving that sentence, police discovered documents linking him to acts of sabotage. He was put on trial again in 1964 in the famous Rivonia trial. In his final speech before being sentenced, Mandela said, "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal for which I hope to live for, but if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela was sentenced to life in prison. 27 years in prison. Mandela spent 27 years behind bars, most of them on Robben Island, a harsh prison off the coast of Cape Town. He lived in a small cell with no bed or plumbing and was forced to do hard labor. Despite the terrible conditions, Mandela never gave up hope. He became a symbol of resistance and was respected even by his prison guards. During his imprisonment, international pressure against apartheid grew, and calls for his release increased around the world. Mandela continued to be a leader, even from prison. He secretly negotiated with government officials and never stopped believing in a free and democratic South Africa. Release and the end of apartheid. On February 11, 1990, Nelson Mandela was released from prison after nearly 3 decades behind bars. The world watched as he walked out of Victor Verster prison with a raised fist, smiling but determined. His release marked the beginning of the end of apartheid. In the following years, Mandela worked closely with President F.W. de Klerk to dismantle apartheid laws and prepare the country for democratic elections. In 1993, Mandela and de Klerk were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts to bring peace and unity to South Africa. President of South Africa. In April 1994, South Africa held its first multiracial democratic elections. Millions of people, many voting for the first time in their lives, stood in long lines to cast their ballots. Nelson Mandela was elected President of South Africa, becoming the country's first black head of state. At age 75, he led a deeply divided nation into a new era of hope, reconciliation, and peace. Mandela focused on building a rainbow nation, promoting forgiveness, unity, and equal rights for all citizens. Instead of seeking revenge, he chose to include former enemies in his government and encouraged all South Africans to work together. One of his most powerful acts was supporting the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which allowed victims and perpetrators of apartheid-era crimes to speak openly, promoting healing and understanding. Legacy and later life. Mandela served as president from 1994 to 1999. After leaving office, he continued his work as a global ambassador for peace and human rights. He created the Nelson Mandela Foundation and focused on issues like HIV/AIDS awareness, education, and poverty. He remained a beloved figure around the world, often referred to as Madiba, his Xhosa clan name, or simply as Tata, meaning father. Mandela passed away on December 5, 2013, at the age of 95. His death was mourned around the world, and tributes poured in from every continent. Legacy and lessons. Nelson Mandela's life is a story of courage, sacrifice, and forgiveness. He spent 27 years in prison and came out not with hatred, but with a vision for peace and equality. He showed the world that one person with determination and hope can change the course of history. Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Today, his legacy lives on in the hearts of millions. Streets, schools, and even a day, Nelson Mandela International Day on July 18th, are named in his honor. His story teaches us the value of resilience, justice, and compassion. Whether you are fighting injustice or simply trying to be a better person, Mandela's example is a powerful source of inspiration. We've just finished the story of Nelson Mandela's life and legacy. Well done. Now, for extra practice, watch the video again with no sound and try reading out loud. This technique is called shadowing, and it's a great way to improve your speaking skills. Also, write down any new words and look them up later. Keep learning and keep growing. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. You guys are awesome. Take care and see you in the next story.